Well, we wanted to see a response from Ipswich Town after Saturday's loss at Oxford, and we got it, Stu. 4-0 at half-time, and that was all she wrote, really, for Morecambe this evening.
Yeah, 4-0 win against Morecambe. It helps when you score in the first minute. That really set the tone, didn't it? Just sense we didn't know what the atmosphere would be like tonight. It was a 21,000 crowd, a little bit lower than usual. Tuesday night, understandable. And it was, I wouldn't say nervy, fair to say beforehand, quiet, subdued. I don't know quite how you'd describe it. So going and scoring with less than 60 seconds on the clock from a corner really set the tone. And Ipswich ruthless from there on.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to watch, wasn't it? We know coming out of the Oxford game that the Ipswich weren't at their best. They didn't produce anything like the football we know they can. But they did tonight against a Morecambe team who hadn't played for a couple of weeks. Granted, a Morecambe team at the bottom end of the table. Granted, but Ipswich produced it, and they produced 4 really good goals and plenty of chances, and had good performances all over the pitch. There's nothing really not to like about this. It was nice to see them cut loose and put a team to bed before half-time, which hasn't happened too often, has it?
Yeah, let's not sit here and sort of dismiss this as only Morecambe. Let's not forget Ipswich couldn't beat Cheltenham at home, couldn't beat Lincoln here at home, there's been a few slip-ups in these sort of games along the way where they have taken the lead and still not been able to win. So Fleetwood as well. So they did what they needed to do tonight under a decent amount of pressure, I would say, off the back of 4 league games without a win. Perfect response today. Got that early goal from a corner. We'll go through the goals, shall we? Evans with a nice ball out to the right. Burns won an early corner in the first minute. Davis's corner causes a bit of carnage, and Freddie Ladapo was alert to turn the ball home. And that just settled Ipswich, and from there they cut loose, as you say, really enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, it's nice to see him score a goal like that. Right place, right time, good composed finish, but it was even better to see him score the second goal, which was a really, really nice finish. Nathan Broadhead, who had a good home debut, drove through the middle of the pitch and threaded a really nice through ball for Freddie, who took on the shot from a pretty wide angle by the time he took that shot on, and back across the goalkeeper off one post. I think it nicked the other one, and into the back of the net. A really nice finish from Freddie, and any goal that goes in off 2 pieces of woodwork gets a big tick in my book.
Yeah, we said we thought he played really well, particularly in the first half against Plymouth. Some strong back-to-goal centre-forward play in that game where they were knocking it up to him. Drops out the team for the Oxford game with George Hurst getting the nod. Back in today, and we hope that a bit of competition up front would bring out the best in him, and the signs were there today that was the case. 2 goals for him with 16 minutes on the clock, but it wasn't just his goals today, it was his all-round performance. I thought he bullied their centre-halves, he backed in, he pinned them, and Ipswich, you could tell that they knew he was a man in confidence, because every time they got the ball, they were willing to ping passes into his feet, and he was producing deft little layoffs, and they were playing off of him, and he was the man linking it all up as Ipswich sort of enjoyed themselves in that first half.
Yeah, his best Ipswich performance for me by some distance. He's a player that needs that extra little bit of fuel, I think, and he's had it at the start of 2023. He's had the game with Rotherham against his former team. He's had a game with Plymouth against his former team, and he's had it through George Hurst's arrival, hasn't he? And it would have hurt him coming out of the team at Oxford. He wants to start games, but if you react like that. That's how you're going to be a winner.
And he's a man who's been learning a new role at a new football club as well. He's been playing in a front 2 for Rotherham. This is a completely different way of playing. And McKenna's sat here afterwards and said that he's a different player now to the one that we've signed 6 months ago. And he's proof that even at 29 years of age, you can still learn and improve and develop in your career. So he was really pleased with Freddie Ladapo, but he was just one of several individual performances worthy of note. I guess we may as well move on to the man who scored the next 2 goals, Conor Chaplin.
Well, I think, within discussing Conor Chaplin, we can also discuss Wes Burns, because that connection between 2 really close friends produced both of those goals. And this was a Wes Burns game that had shades of last season about it. We know that Burns had a stunning first season with Ipswich, hasn't produced it every week in the second. It's been that much more difficult. The system's changed a little bit. Teams know what he's all about a little bit as well. But tonight, he was on it down that right side, and 2 times he's picked out 2 nice balls from different areas of the pitch, both for Chaplin. And when Chaplin gets the ball in that little bit of space, the corridor of I was going to call it the corridor of Chaplin, but that's one of the worst names I've ever given anything. But you know what I mean. When he gets it there, we like to think he's going to put it in the net.
They're trademark goals for him now, isn't he? He's got that lovely knack of just holding his run, letting everyone else sort of bunch up towards the goal. The space is there for him, and when they pick him out, as you say, you expect him to find the corners of the net. The first one he scored, just a lovely first-time sweeping finish into the bottom left-hand corner. His second, Town's fourth, took a bit of a deflection on its way into the opposite corner. But the Burns-Chaplin link-up, that sort of Burns' role in those 2 goals was kind of a reminder of the Burns of old of last season, which was good to see. So that was that 4th goal was virtually the last action of the first half, and we went into the break knowing it was job done.
Thoughts on the Macarena? Where's Burns?
I didn't see this.
2 little outings of the Macarena after both the goals. The second one just on his own, just all on his own. Just did the Macarena. There's a story behind that. We'll find that out at some point. But that might have replaced the Wes Burns twerk as his number 1 celebration. I liked it.
Okay. Second half doesn't need too much of a discussion. Job done. McKenna rings the changes. Burns comes off at half time, just had a bit of a tight calf.
It's the Macarena, I think.
Yeah, maybe it was the Macarena that did it for him. So he came off at the break. No point taking any risks when you're 4-0 up. On comes Jackson. A raft of other subs throughout the second half. Game lost a bit of momentum and intensity. Morecambe were done. Ipswich were cruising. And that's kind of how it finished, really. So we've talked about Wes Burns' role down the right-hand side as the coffee machine goes through its cleaning process in the background.
This normally goes off just as Kieran McKenna's sitting down to start his press conferences, doesn't it? This coffee machine, it's got a life of its own.
It does. Ignore that. If we're talking about Wes Burns' impact in this team, we need to talk about another young man who had an impact down the right-hand side today, and that was Harry Clark, who... full disclosure, I'm in love with Harry Clark already. I just thought he was brilliant. He just provided that forward thrust and zest and passion and desire and all those things as a football fan that you want to see, playing in that sort of Janoy Donassian hybrid right back role. Was doing what we probably haven't seen from Janoy Donassian for a while, and that was really getting up in support and making those overlapping runs, which enables Wes Burns to do all the things that we've spoken about. He takes people away, decoy runner, played some nice passes. There was a lovely moment where he made a block and then charged out and made a thunderous tackle as well. Really impressive debut for him in front of his watching family back at his hometown club.
I think you might have to fight for his affections a little bit, Stu. I don't think you're the only one that's gone away with a little glint in their eye after seeing that tonight. That would have meant a lot to him. He's wanted to play at Portman Road for almost his entire life. He sat here and did an interview just a minute ago talking about that. Had 20 members of his family and friends here to watch it. Ipswich Town Academy boy, an Ipswich boy, was at games in single figures when he was 6 or 7 years old, and that would have meant a lot to him. But this is just the start for him, and that's the exciting thing, isn't it? That with him and Nathan Broadhead, who also had a good game, they've got 2 players that can inject something into this season, and hopefully this result can lead to a little bit more, because we need runs of wins now.
Broadhead was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, I liked him. Yeah, I liked him. He attacks the box, and that's what I like. He can move with the ball at his feet. He's direct, and he attacks the box with that right foot coming in off the left side. So I like
just really sharp in everything he did. The way his technique, the way he strikes the ball is, looks really sort of elite level. So good evening all round. Really, you couldn't have scripted it much better off the back of that Oxford result at the weekend. You hope now that this is a bit of a launch pad for Ipswich to get that momentum that they so badly need. Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday didn't play tonight, so the gap's been closed on them back to what it was before, 7 and 4 points respectively.
Nailed it.
Derby, unfortunately, were losing for a long period at Port Vale tonight. They scored twice late on. David McGoldrick with one of those goals to win 2-1, so they remain 4 points behind with a game in hand. 18 games to go. The next league game is at Cambridge United, but before then, we've got an FA Cup 4th round home tie against Championship leaders Burnley here on Saturday. Be interesting to see what sort of team is put out, what sort of test, how Ipswich fare against a team that is absolutely flying under Vincent Kompany. And then the real stuff, the real run-in begins. Lots of winnable looking games in these, Sheffield Wednesday's obviously the big fixture in amongst there, but they've got a lot of these teams in the bottom six to come, and you just hope, like tonight, that they can put together a run of wins.